you die.
All right. So we just listened through Jared Dines' new solo album, The Gray. Now we're gonna talk about it, me and Jordan over here. And I'm not gonna do a track by track summary because there's a lot of freaking tracks on here. 16 tracks, just to give you some highlights and lowlights, and then my thoughts, and then we'll go in a deeper discussion here. So, overall, I really did like this. I'll say a quick summary. I think the thing I liked most about this is that he, given the length of this, that he didn't stick to one style. He did a lot of like switching up. A lot of the songs have different styles. There's some djenty stuff, some thall-y stuff. There's even like some power metal in there. Some fucking Emmure style shit. So I like that too. So I like that they switched it up a lot, with the length. I do think it suffers from the length a little bit, but that's just me and albums in general. Like, albums don't need to be that long, But again, I think as like a solo artist, I can kind of understand with how long you work on these songs and stuff. I feel like if I was a solo artist writing a bunch of stuff, and I knew, doing other projects and other, I don't have a lot of time to just do music. So I'm going to put out one fat drop, I'm just going to take a big steamy dump of music at one time and then, move on to the next thing instead of just, if that makes sense. But anyways, so I'll go through some track highlights here. First track, Lord of Sloth. I thought that was a cool intro. That's the one. It's very Emmure, like it's got this nice like instrumental riffy part that comes in for the first like 30 seconds, so you get like this nice little intro into the album. Basil Poisoning. I thought that was a really good one. He does. I think it's just him doing cleans on there. It's like this little light cleans. It's just a little in between. He does this really cool layering with his vocals on there. I thought that was really cool because he does like a scream and the cleans at the same time. I thought that was nice. Dreams, That Will Never Be, I think was one of my top 2 tracks on this album. Thought that was really good. That was the one with the, it had features from Eliza Ride, whatever. She had really good cleans in there. There's that really melodic breakdown and lots of ghost notes. There's lots of ghost notes on this album, actually. I love the ghost notes. I'm a big ghost note fan. It's really light touches, but it's literally really light touches, but I think it's just a nice little, brings out the drums a little bit. Insidious, that was a really another nice one with the guest vocals, John doing cleans. That also had a solo that was very 80s. I really like that. Speed Run, I think, was probably my weakest track, but that's also just personal taste. That's the one that's a little bit more power metal style, also like proggy, kind of like Dream Theater. But again, I do appreciate it because I appreciate him trying to show off a little different style, so I did like that. And the thing is, and then the song right after that is, again, a little bit of the same kind of Dream Theater-y, Perfect Day to Walk Through a Graveyard. So for me, the album takes a little bit of a dip right here. Through that lull, and that's a good like 9 minutes. I think they could have cut those out, and it would have made the album feel slightly more cohesive, maybe. What do you think, Jordan? What do you think about those 2 songs?
I feel like there was a little bit too much going on the record, so maybe a little bit of like tightening up would have maybe kept it from getting a little bit like too much. Yeah,
but again, like I just think it was like, I'm not saying it's bad, they're bad tracks or anything, just I do appreciate him trying to show off a different style. So that's cool. And then you got Piercing the Darkness. I think that was my other favorite track on this album. That's the one that's got like the organ style, like Castlevania synth, like the whole song. Really love that. There's some really good riffing in there as well. And also that one had the guest vocals of Vince Mendas, doing some really cool soulful, as one of my chatters said, cleans. I really like that mixture in there. There's a lot of cleans in here, a lot of very in fact, a lot of very Dream Theater / it also reminded me of the way Vilcharta does cleans. So I think there was definitely some influence from there, especially with like even the guitar work. There was some Vilcharta, that thall sound. So I saw a lot of that coming through. Again, with the multiple styles, I think there's a lot of different styles on here. Like Impending Doom, I felt some Impending Doom, not just because Brooke Reeves was on here, okay? But Vilcharta, a little bit of Tesseract at times. So it's cool to hear different influences from different genres, I also like that this album was like borderline deathcore. At times, like it has those, every song has that big, like kind of like Chelsea Grin does, all their songs feel very like epic. And he has like the big booming like low vocals that he does with like the layering and stuff that just like really fills out the sound. And also like there's like tons of blast beats and shit in here too. So I really like that. And then finally, tonally, I think the mixing was very, very good for the most part. The guitar was great. I think they focused a lot, mostly on the guitar though. For the drums, I think the snare was really nice. The toms were great. Cymbals were great. However, I think the bass kick, I think they focused, I don't know, maybe there was like a little too much low end on the bass kick that it kind of like, the rest of the album has a lot of low end, and so it kind of muted the bass kick, like, so it just like had like kind of a muted feel, and I just feel like there was something different that they could have done with it. It didn't really pop enough. Like the snare did. The snare is really nice. And also there was another thing with the 808s. The 808s were like, you could hear them, but only if you like really like tried. And I think they would have just, again, just another couple things that could have just brought a little bit more focus to and made pop a little bit. But other than that, extremely solid album. I was super excited to hear this because of Scion. Scion was like one of my top 5 last year. So hearing that Jared was putting out new music was really big for me. So I was really glad to hear a lot of this. And also, I'm pretty sure he's been teasing some new Scion stuff too. So stay tuned on that. But overall, yeah, it was really good. So Jordan, what are you thinking?
Overall, I thought it was all right. I didn't really find much that was like super wowing to me. Not every band or project has to be like mind blowing or like groundbreaking, but I thought everything was just pretty okay. I think it's definitely above average. I don't think there's anything like actually like bad or anything on here, but I think I like the fact that he kind of tried to like like you said do a couple different styles, but I feel like that could have maybe I don't want to say it's too big and it's too like experimental, because it's not, because it's kind of got like the same tone throughout every song. Like you said, it's got like kind of like borderline deathcore overall, but I feel like just the amount of different like styles on here kind of detracted a little bit away from like the overall album experience. Maybe that's also just from it being so long. I feel like that was kind of a detriment. Maybe he could have stuck with like maybe like 1, 2 3 styles, maybe. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have gone too wide like he kind of did on here,
Or
but
maybe like mixing in stuff in the different songs, like cut out some of the songs and then like maybe like have like the power metal sections to kind of like mix it up, and maybe that would have been more of like a wow factor. Like, oh,
yeah,
wow,
like have like all the different elements kind of mixed in here and there. Yeah, I feel like that could have been good, but I also feel like the songs are really focused on those kind of like influences, but without really like relying on them, I don't think, because there are so many different sounds on here. It kind of keeps you on your toes, but I feel like yeah, maybe just the length and how segmented it kind of was, maybe it could have had like a better album experience for me. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just the flow. Maybe it needed like some type of interlude or something in place of some of the songs, just to kind of like have some sort of like connective tissue or something, and or have like some sort of sample or a theme to go with it, just because I don't really feel like there's too much of a theme. But I feel like maybe not every album has to be like that, like I said.
yeah, especially as
But
like
overall,
a solo artist
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand, especially coming from Jared, because he has a lot of different influences, and you can see that in a lot of his videos, how he just kind of like does like makes fun of like different genres or styles.
Yeah,
and
he's
so I
definitely.
can kind of see that like mixed into this, which I think is kind of cool. So I feel like it's definitely on brand for him. But I feel like it is just a little bit too much, but also kind of not being too crazy on its own. I feel like maybe cutting a couple songs and really like honing on like the songs that were left could have really heightened the album for me. Maybe just kind of, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
like
kind of weird. Like I
those
really liked it,
two.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. There's something that just kind of was a little off for me, but that's not really like detracting from the album, because otherwise, like most of this is like really, really, really good. So yeah, I just didn't really find anything like super wowing, but it was also a little bit different and kind of maybe ahead of its time. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there might be some other bands or solo artists that can like pull off doing like many different styles, but I feel like I don't know. But then again, he's not a band himself; it's just him. So I feel like that's kind of like
Uh,
discounting it a little
I,
bit, because
another
he
thing.
did do most of everything on his own, I'm pretty sure.
Another thing I was gonna mention, I guess I didn't write it down on here. Oh, I guess I did. I just skipped over it. I liked that a lot of his features. The features were really interesting, like having like a lot of people that weren't like big or anything, to kind of give more
Yeah,
exposure to other solo artists and just like a different sound, but not being like very familiar one, to kind of instead of like using them as a hook, he used it to like really
yeah,
accompany the music, and I think that's like a really cool thing that he
yeah.
did.
Throughout the whole song. So yeah, I definitely thought that was cool. Um, Also, I feel like maybe just the mix. Uh, w- I thought it was good, but it's kind of got like that very modern mix. I just kind of like don't like that kind of production, because it's very like just loud, and there's not a lot of dynamics. Like there's some like quiet, soft parts in here, but like just because of the production, it is like the same like volume the whole time.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's kind of,
some of like the
yeah.
frequencies, like I was saying with like the bass. I think some of the frequencies just got a little compressed and like kind of canceled each other out.
Maybe
That's why the
that also
808s
could
and
have
the
been YouTube.
that
Could have
too.
been
True.
YouTube as
Yeah.
well, but yeah, I definitely felt like it was a little off, but it wasn't bad. It's just very, modern production. Yeah, like we said, the 808s could have been a lot louder. Like they were just very buried.
Yeah. Abuse that shit.
Like either put them in there or don't. Yeah.
All right. Well, what would you rate this then?
I think I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool and like very progressive. Like I definitely get a lot of like proggy deathcore vibes off of this. So it's not just straight deathcore, which is I can definitely appreciate that. And it's definitely got a lot more focus on the song structures and the songs themselves being songs instead of just being like heavy and riffy just for the sake of that, which I can definitely appreciate.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is another one we're pretty much on the same page. Yeah, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I think, just like I said, cutting out a couple of the songs, just not even because they're just different songs, just because like the speed run and Perfect Day. Those would just be my picks personally. But I think that's just where the album they're right back to back. It's just that little dip. But I do appreciate them for being like very progressive in it. But I think it's just the length. Just a lot of the length. Cut out a little bit of that length, and I think this could have hit a 9 for me. But still, 8 out of 10 for me is it's like a A-. It's still really good music. Definitely enjoyed the whole time. I had a good time, and looking forward to hearing some more. So 8 out of 10 overall, and yeah, great job to Jared DINES. So